Go.
Hi, welcome to Ditzy's Diamond Den. Sorry about the late start. We are having technical difficulties with our sound today. Um, so we are doing Mooncatcher today by Bear Brickjaw. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. And this, of course, we bought from Diamond Art Club because we do, of course, support our small shop. But as for canvases, we are strictly Diamond Art Club. Speaking about our small shops, I am using a couple small shop items today. I am using my KNS pen um, that is personalized with Ditzy's Diamond Den. I am using my Randa's Crafty Corner coconut scented putty. And of course, I am using my Patty Wax from Distracted by Diamonds in this cute little cupcake edition. I love the cute things that you can get her wax in. And you can do the cupcakes, pastries, unicorn tins, adorable little lollipops. I love all of them. They are too cute. Um, I would also like to thank everybody that has been subscribing to my channel. So I am a new YouTuber. I'm new in general to all things kind of electronic. But we are over 50 subscribers now. I can't wait to hit that 100 because I'm dying to do a giveaway. So I did do a giveaway on a pen, and I have not been able to get a hold of the person who won that. And so to make it easier in the future, I will be using the Google Docs forms to do my giveaway so that I can make sure that I am reaching out to the winners and getting them the item that they won because I feel really bad that I'm new, I'm learning as I'm going, and I really hope that she gets a hold of me so I can get her that pen. So last 2 weeks ago, I was reading the Moon Chosen series by PC Cast while I was listening to it on audiobook. And I did finish that series. So in my first episode, you can hear me talk about book one. I have completed book two, book three, and book four, which is all of them that is currently in it. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the rest of the books that are in it. So in book two, Mari and Nick and Sora and a couple others, they've all gathered together and they are learning how to combine their groups, and they decide to name themselves a pack. And so they're all getting together and learning how to live with each other and how to accept each other's um, traditions and customs. And so they're all working together on that. And, honestly, I loved the books. I read them. The particular person that read them, sometimes it was a little hard to get through them just because of the fact that, and it wasn't really noticeable until the fourth book, but she she reads it exactly like it was read, which I guess is a good thing, but I really started to notice that they would be like, Mari says, I would love to be able to help with that. And Nick chimes in with, oh, I want to help with that also. And then Sora says, oh, me three. And O'Brien said, and it's that whole entire, and then said, and then said, and then said. It was kind of starting to grate on my nerves a little bit. But that doesn't detract from the actual, like, book. So just be aware of that if you decide to go the audio route instead of just picking it up and reading it, because it is not noticeable in when you're reading it, but when you're listening to it, it starts to grate on your nerves. But in book two, they're basically just learning how to all live together and be really accepting of each other and the different ways that each other live. Um, And then on the other side, we've got Thaddeus and Death. They ended the first book with them, killing Nick's dad, and they were taking over the Sky People's land. So Nick and Mara go back to try to save some people. Unfortunately, Death has already got a lot of them to combine themselves with their animals. And the Sky People they have been poisoned by Death mentally and physically. And so they're not really able to save anybody. Uh, they try to. Mario calls down the sun again, and Death sees her and decides that he wants her. So they decide they need to escape to a completely different area, and they talk about going to the Wind Rider's plane. So they spend most of the time in book two prepping and getting ready to move all of their combined peoples to the new area. Andreas and his Lynx has decided to join the pack, and some of the people that did go back to the Earthwalkers land with them from the Sky People, they had puppies, and some of their puppies started choosing Earthwalkers. So Sora gets a puppy, which is super exciting because I adore Sora. And she gets to know like what it's like to have the dogs. Anyways, it's really beautiful the way they all come together and all accept each other and all love each other. Um, but of course, Death is on their heels, and Death wants to take over everything. So that's basically, you know, book two. So in book three, they actually make their escape, and they have to go down the river. And I like this one because it kind of changes like whose view you're through. It, has some of the view through Thaddeus, who is just at this point very evil and just not a good person. And we also, of course, have Maury, who we go on a little bit. And there is um this new girl, River, and she is telling the story about what it is like at the Riders Plains, which is where they're headed. So it kind of does like this time lapsey thing back and forth. Where is my plus sign? Hold on, gotta find my plus sign. I just had it. There it is. Okay. So it does like this time thing, and basically it's while Maria and everybody else is heading to the plains, and then what River and those people were up to. So let's do uh, the Earthwalkers first. So basically, they have their guide, and they have to go down the river. And while they're going down the river, they have to fight like weird mutant things because, this is like really far in the future in times. So they have to fight all these weird creatures, including like evil monkeys, which kind of sounded funny. Like, and they don't get a lot around on the ground, but they have changed to where I guess monkeys are like water animals. Also, they're tree and water animals. So they have to fight through these, but the people are happy and they get along well, and so they're rolling, they're moving. They do have to stop at these other people's area because when they go through rapids, of course, not everybody can go through the rapids. So they have to stop and give out, gifts. to the elders of this one town in order to have them move all their boats to the rapids and take them across their lands to meet up with their boats and all their supplies on the other side. So while they're there, Dove, which was Death's kind of girlfriend until he became Death. So she has this horrible premonition from the moon goddess that all of these people need to leave their lands for 1 full year or they will become extinct. And uh, of course, they are a matriarchy, and this new group is not. And so they're like, foolish women, you don't know anything. You're evil, witches, ha ha ha, and tell him to leave. So they desperately try to help him. They talk to the women, and they get on really bad terms with these people, and they make it through, and they leave. And they continue working their way through the mountains and up to the Wind Riders area. Now, while this is going on, Death, on his side, has poisoned the land of the Sky People, and he doesn't want to be there anymore. And he wants to follow Mari because he's decided that he wants Mari now to be the one that accepts that he wants to use her body to awaken the goddess who is his true love. So they all gather and go, and one of the people from Nick's party had decided to stay because she didn't want to desert her people and she wanted to try to help them. And she was also the storyteller. And Death takes a really nice liking to the storyteller because he thinks that she's going to weave a story and talk about how awesome he is and how he took over the world and all this other stuff. And of course, she's playing along so she doesn't die and she's trying to help her people, but really, she's not going to be telling the story about how great Death is. It's quite the opposite. So he gathers all of his people and heads out to the Windrider Plains to get Mari. And he has to go and he has to stop at the same place that they did. And he's like, follow me. And they said, no, we are not going to follow you. And so, of course, he did just what they said was going to happen. And he wipes them all out. And then when he wipes them all out, he calls all the spirits that were on that island to inhabit their bodies and he brings them back to life with the dead spirits that were on the island. So then he continues on his way, and they tell all quite a bit of it from the storyteller side about how she's going to, you know, get him to talk to her and trust her so she can figure out how to get rid of him. Because she says if she can figure out how he got here and what his plans are, then she'll be the only one to be able to stop him. So she's being all nice to him and getting to know him and everything, which is quite excellent because she is the one that figures out how, of course, to defeat Death. Now, River actually is my favoriteest character in the whole book, with Sora being second. Not even the main characters, okay, but I still liked them. So River is this independent little sassy thing, and her mom is the leader of the Windriders, of course, because all the main characters, their parents were in leadership positions. So it starts with her having to pick her, spirit companion, her horse. And she was really into this horse named Ghost, who is this like unbelievable stallion. She really wanted him to pick her, but he doesn't pick her. He picks Anjo. And Ghost doesn't pick anybody, which is really weird and unusual. And Ghost like freaks out and takes off, which is something they've never done before. And so he's just a wild horse now, and everybody's thinking, oh, well, this horse must be sick or he must have a problem or something like that. These ABs are so he takes off and Anjo chooses her and Anjo get along so good. And she's spending, this time in the past that she is prepping to become the leader of her people. And while she's doing that, of course, there is a dude that is just not like happy with the fact that their colony is also led by women. And he thinks that men deserve more respect and that men should have more of a leadership role. It does get a little bit, in my opinion, problematic in this area because they talk about how men can't be leaders because all they care about is their own ego. Um, and just very, for me, unpopular ideas. I mean, I think both men and women can be leaders. It just depends on who you are. So that was not very just, you can't lead. You guys are too power hungry. Not all men are like that. It was very pigeonholed. Um, but this dude wants to lead and he gets really angry about the whole entire thing. And it's kind of like the Thaddeus, where there was somebody that was just really unhappy with the status quo and wants to shake things up and change things. And he's got a lot of anger inside of him. So she has to, prove that she is the leader to her people by doing this obstacle course with her horse. Um, and the obstacle course is, feats of wisdom, speed, strength, the whole bit. And even though she doesn't finish first, she, of course, wins because she doesn't finish first because she stops and helps her people who are in trouble, which is leadership qualities. It's not about coming in first. It's not about winning. It's about making sure that everybody is taken care of as best as you can. So she wins that, and then they're doing the stallion run. So the stallion run is whoever wins the stallion run is the one that is like the main breeder for the mares on the land. And of course, his wisdom is always, appreciated and given to the woman council. I mean, they definitely take into consideration what they say. But the women still get the final decision on. So the men just want it to be 50-50, which I don't see why it can't be 50-50, but I'm not the one that wrote the book. And so, you know, Clayton, who's the guy that's all wants to win the stallion race, and he actually does something which, of course, is super against the rules. And he tries to kill River and Ghost because she became friends with Ghost out in the wild, and Ghost wanted to try to run the stallion run. So she's like, well, I will run him in the stallion run. And everybody's upset. Well, Clayton and his followers are upset because now she's going to be lead mare and lead stallion. And they're just like, that's just so wrong. So he tries to kill her, and of course, he's caught and he gets in trouble. And River wins, at which point he decides to leave the pack and go create his own pack. Before, of course, they can, go before the council and actually like get into trouble. And so he takes his people and he leaves. And this is where they kind of all converge into one. So Mari and her people, right after this, come down the hill right after the stallion run, and Ghost goes nuts. Ghost starts taking off, even after he's run like this 50-mile run. He takes off and he runs up and he goes straight to, sorry. He goes straight to Dove because Dove is his rider, and that's why he was freaking out before, is because he couldn't find Dove because Dove wasn't there yet. So they're so excited about the fact that he finally had his rider. his rider, and they explain to them about death and everything that's happening. And because of the fact that one of the horses chose him as a rider, they're immediately accepted into the whole entire thing. And they're like, oh, yay, you're definitely one of us. So while they're doing that, um, the storyteller, I can't remember her name because she's referred to as storyteller so much in the book. That's just what I call her. So the storyteller, of course, is still working her way, and she finally figures it out how to rid death. You cannot kill death, but death can be put back to sleep. He was asleep for years, with the goddess and happy. But then when he woke up and he went all out on his own, and once again, it gets into that problematic, oh, men need women to control their baser instincts, which is absolute crap, in my opinion. But basically, that's what they're saying is, Death got free, and he uh he needs a woman, otherwise he goes nuts and can't control himself. So she figures out how to put him back to sleep, and she escapes. The goddess sends her a doe, and the doe helps her escape. And when she escapes, she runs into Clayton and his people, and she's like, yay, we're saved, whatever, of course. But Clayton is, you know, he is actually a jerk. So he says, oh, you're my prisoner now, and I can beat death all by myself. And he demands that she takes him back to where death is, because they're going to sneak up on him and they're going to take out death and they're going to take out his armies, whatever. Of course, that is not what happens. So she's left there with one of Clayton's guys, and death captures them all. So here is where Clayton redeems his arc, because he had already had it explained to him about what death was and about how he hurt people's companions and everything like that. And yeah, he got a little bit all huffy puffy and was like, oh, I'll kick this butt. Whatever. Look at me. Woohoo. When it came down to it and he saw that he could not win, that he couldn't even make a dent in him and all of his people jump off the side of a cliff rather than let death warp them and get into their heads and hurt their companions. But he does send his companion. He says, you have to live, you have to go on, you have to warn the people what's coming. So his horse takes off and goes back up and chooses the storyteller to be his new rider. And Mari and River, they are all planning on heading to their main settlement, where they plan on setting up ground and get ready for death. So they, of course, can ward out with him and hopefully win. So the storyteller heads out, and while she's heading out, she runs into River's mom, which was the old pack leader, and explains to her everything that's going on. So they rush back and they meet up with River, um, and all the whole entire group and everything, and Mari and Sora and everybody. And she lets them know how they can win death by putting him back to sleep. So they decide to see if they can summon the goddess. And they do summon the goddess, and she explains to him that if she, the only way that she can put him back to sleep is somebody has to be willing to get the skin sloughing disease and have death turn them, and they will die. But then she can get death into her embrace and soothe him to sleep. So, of course, River, because she's plucky and awesome, she's like, I'll do it. And she thinks that she's going to do it and everything. But of course, the goddess comes to Mari and tells her that she has to be the one And Death goes and he poisons the lake, but the goddess has already told Mari that he was going to do that. So Mari drinks out of the lake, deliberately poisons herself, and then tells everybody about it so that they can cleanse it with the moon wash. And then she goes and she gives herself up to death. And the goddess comes out and wraps Death up and lulls him back to sleep. And Mari is laying there and dying. And Mari, of course, can talk to all the companions, the horses, the kitties, the doggies, all of it. She can talk to everything. And they're all telling her, "Don't die, Mari. We love you. Come back, come back." And so she comes back to life. And the storyteller, and the rest of everybody else converge and they kill all of, Death's people, except Twister. The spirits that he had brought back when he decimated that one group that helped with the river, they actually turn on Death. They were not actually there to help Death. They were there to try to get forgiveness because the first time Death walked Earth, when the first Earth land ended, our Earth, they had not fought Death. They had given into their baser instincts and had become Thaddeus, And so they all came to life to take down Death and save the world. And Death thought he was on their side. Haha, plot twist. So, joke's on him. I liked that part. So everybody is killed except for Thaddeus. Well, the storyteller, of course, has followed him, and after seeing, how he's the first one that, got infected and let all this stuff happen and hurt his companion. And so she kills him. And Mari comes back to life, and everybody lives happily ever after. And reading the books, they were fantastic. I loved them when I read them. Listening to them on audiobook, I don't know if it was the reader or like I was saying, the whole entire "oh they said" and "oh he said," but it kind of got on my nerves a little bit, and I did not enjoy listening to them on Audible as much as I enjoyed reading them. So I'm a PC Cast fan. I've read some of her other books and I really, really liked them. The storyline was really great. They definitely, handled some sensitive areas about mental health and stuff like that really, really well. But yeah, their take on men, that they need to be, I don't know. My personal take was that men kind of needed to be ruled, and I mean, yeah, every woman kind of sometimes wishes we could just rule everybody, but yeah, that's not going to happen. So that part for me was problematic. I honestly, you kind of have the storyline now, so it's up to you whether or not it's something you'd be interested in. Like I said, I really enjoyed reading it. Listening to it on audiobook, though, did kind of change my mind. I'm like, I did not like it as much as when I read it. So my next book up is going to be the new Michael Connolly book. It's the seventh book for the Lincoln Lawyer series, and I really enjoy his books. Let's hope they're as good on audio as they are when I read them. I was definitely not super happy about that. Um, anyways, look at her hair. Her hair is turning out so beautifully. Um, so for the next coming weeks, I've got, of course, my Christmas canvas coming in that I'm going to be doing with the jingle drills, which I believe it's Emeralds and Fairy Lights that does that. I believe it's Emeralds and Fairy Lights. It might not be. It might be. It's Lindsay. So Lindsay is putting on the jingle drills for 2023. Once again, I'm not associated with her. I do not know her, but her events are a lot of fun. So I'm going to be joining that event. I also am waiting on just one more item from my small shop haul. I've got a pen and I got a whole bunch of the different trays from some of the more popular trays, and I thought I would do a really nice comparison to kind of show you how they lay. We're gonna try it with regular drills and some special drills, some squares and some rounds. That way you guys can actually see the sizes yourself and see how they lay in the trays, how easy they are to get straight. Maybe help you make some choices on whether or not you want to buy some of those. So we've got a lot of stuff planned for the upcoming area. And of course, like and subscribe if you are enjoying this. And I will see you guys on Saturday with a post review. Thanks, guys. Bye.